Welcome to another episode of Friday Fuel for October 21st, 2022. Join us this Sunday for the Wesley UMC Trunk or Treat. Show up a little bit before 4 so you can find our trunk and help us hand out candy to community kids. And then stick around after it's over for Sunday supper at 5:30. On Wednesday night, we'll have more spooky stories in the Bible during WOW. And next weekend is Family Weekend, so stop by and join us for our We Are Family brunch on Saturday morning between 10 and noon. And now, here's your Friday Fuel. Welcome to another Friday Fuel. And today I'm thinking about Paul's letter to the Philippians because I'm preaching on it on Sunday. In Pana, at Pana First UMC. And I'm thinking about Paul has such an interesting story. And a lot of times I think he's a little bit annoying because he went through so much and he's always like, but here's how to do things the right way. And sometimes that's frustrating. But one thing that I like about the letter to the Philippians is that he really kind of puts it out there and talks about, I had all these things and then I wrote them off as a loss for the sake of Christ. It says in chapter 3 verse 7. But the verse that we most often I think quote from Philippians is chapter 4 verse 13, which is not a bad verse, but I've just been thinking about how it's more interesting in context. And so I wanted to talk about that for just a minute today and not answer any questions, but next week we'll be back to answering students' questions. So here near the end of the letter, Paul writes, "I was very glad in the Lord because now at last you have shown concern for me again. Of course you were always concerned but had no way to show it." So the Philippians are the church that he probably was closest with and most pleased with and had supported him through a lot of things. So here, that was chapter 4, verse 10. And he's glad that they were able to help him. He's in prison right now. They sent him something. And he says, "I'm not saying this because I need anything, for I have learned how to be content in any circumstance." Which is also really interesting because Paul's not saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you sent me something because I need it." But instead, "I'm so glad that you showed your care for me, whether I needed something or not." Anyway, so he has learned to be content in any circumstance. "I know the experience of being in need and of having more than enough. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every circumstance, whether full or hungry, or whether having plenty or being poor. I can endure all these things through the power of the one who gives me strength. Still you have done well to share my distress." Now, so often we take that verse out of context. We say, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," which isn't bad. But what Paul is saying is that knowledge and that ability to have faith in knowing that you can do all things through the one who gives you strength. In that verse, it doesn't say Christ. It actually says through the power of the one who gives me strength. But that is the key to being content in all things. And we don't always think of it that way. We don't always put it in that context. Paul is saying, I actually understand how to find myself content. I mean, it's not exactly happy and it's not exactly satisfied, but it's, I guess it is satisfied in a way, right? I know the secret of being able to say, my situation is okay with me at the moment, or, whether full or hungry, or whether having plenty or being poor. The secret to being content in all of that, the secret to being content in all the highs and the lows, is knowing that you can endure all of it through the power of the one who gives you strength. And sometimes we forget that secret. I know we've finished week 9, and it's a really tough time of the semester, and people are really struggling. And so Philippians 4:13 might be a good verse anyway. It kind of rolls off the tongue a lot of times if we've been around Christian circles, or if you've ever been through a Christian bookstore. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But more than that certainty is what can keep us going, what can keep us content, what can keep us, I think, centered or tethered or not afloat through all circumstances. Right now, when it's really busy, at the end of the semester, when we've survived, at the start of a new semester, when that happens. The secret to being content is to knowing that Christ gives us strength, and we can endure with that strength. So, endure through this next week, whatever that brings for you, and I hope that it will bring moments of joy, moments of excitement, even if it also brings some trial and discomfort. And I'll see you again back here next week.